We have
Michelle's here.
Michelle.
and Trustee
Michael's
Lazio.
here. Michael's here.
Hi, Michael.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Ellis is here. Hi, Ellis.
Hello.
Okay, it is past 10. No, it's still 10:30. All right, so the County Public Library Building Committee shall come to order. Would you call the roll, please?
Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Gray. Here. Trustee Burgo. Here. Trustee Lazio.
Here.
Trustee Wyckoff.
Here.
Trustee Thieves.
Sure.
Yeah, four.
We have a quorum. The next order of business is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion? Before I think we make that motion, probably ought to mention that Aaron and I were talking. This is probably more of a, I don't want to say information. It doesn't mandate a vote of this committee, but we need to know about this discussion point in terms of what we need to do at the Green Hills. So that's what we're going to be doing, but obviously have other things that could come up. So we now need a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Michael, I
Yeah.
second.
Yeah. Okay. Did you figure out which the first so mover was?
Yes, Marcy.
Okay, good. And the second. Great. It's been moved and seconded that the agenda be approved. Would you call the roll, please?
Trustee Wyckoff. Trustee Thieves.
Yes.
Trustee Lazio.
Yes.
Trustee Burgo. Yes. Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Gray.
Yes.
Trustee Wyckoff.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Good. Motion carried. Is there a motion in regard to the minutes from our last meeting, Wednesday, December the 6th?
This is Michael. I move to for the approval of the minutes of December 6th, 2023.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded that the minutes from our December 6th, 2023 meeting be approved. All those, yes, please call the roll, please.
Trustee Wyckoff.
Yes.
Trustee Thieves.
Yes.
Trustee Lazio.
Yes.
Trustee Burgo. Yes. Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Gray.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And the motion carries. Our fifth item is really a presentation to us about additional costs that may be required and why it's required at the Culinary Center, Green Hills. Who's going to?
I'll start it off.
Okay.
This is Aaron Mason, the director. We're here today to talk about modifications that need to be made to Green Hills Culinary Kitchen. And just a little bit of background that'll get us to the why it is that we're doing what we're doing. Originally, and forgive me, with me today is Ellis Katz from PMC. We have Brad from SAP. I don't know if anyone from Dunn is here. I don't see them.
Eric Nickerson with Jade Hunzon.
We have Eric here also. And we have Jacqueline Reed, who's the manager that oversees all of our mission enhancements and the Culinary Center as well. When we built Green Hills and designed the Culinary Kitchen, library staff directed SAP and Dunn to build out a teaching kitchen where food prep could be handled in the classroom area of it, the main classroom area, and any cooking that needed to be done would be handled in the front of the classroom on the main stoves. If you've ever been there, you know what we're talking about. This is a little bit limiting in terms of the way we program. So you could accommodate maybe 2 people over the stoves in the front of the classroom. But when Xander came on board, he built out a curriculum that relied both on cold food and dry food prep, but also cooking instruction using heating plates. And to use those heating plates in the main area, significant modifications would be needed to the Green Hills Teaching Kitchen. So we listened to to Xander, and he kind of told us his concerns, that the way we're currently permitted wouldn't afford us, the opportunity to do that type of cooking instruction. If we were to be compliant with code, we need to make some revisions. So, anyone can stop me here, but so this triggered a conversation. And first we looked at what it would take to do cooking at each of the stations throughout the room to accommodate 24 people, sitting in the main classroom area. And that the price of doing those revisions exceeded our budget. It would require hoods over each of the stations. It would require a drop ceiling and many other modifications. So Ellis Katz and Brad, whose last name, wait, is it Dan? Excuse me. No, Dan from Food Strategy. I tasked them with coming up with an alternate plan to where we could do some cooking, accommodate more people, approximately 10 at a time, and stay within our budget. And Dan Sapp and our partners at Dunn came back with a plan that we'll share with you or walk through with you today. This plan is significantly less expensive than, major revisions that would have cooking stations throughout. And I don't know, we think it's a good solution to the problem. We can look a little bit at the drawings, but just to attach some numbers to this, our estimate is that these revisions would be in the neighborhood of $350,000 to $400,000 at the end of the day. It would take us maybe 4 or 5 months to mobilize and get all the equipment we need, and then an additional 6 to 8 months. Excuse me, yes, 6 to 8 weeks to do the actual work. So why am I here today? This will mean a service interruption. So we will have to close the culinary center for 6 to 8 weeks. But from a budgetary perspective, we have more than enough in contingency to cover the cost of this revision. And it should be noted also that had this been factored into the design process in the beginning, that cost would have just been a part of the total cost of constructing the culinary kitchen. And furthermore, we're talking about, $400,000 is a fraction of a percentage point of what our total operating expenses are. So it's a minor expense to the benefit of the patrons, and it would afford Xander or whoever follows them to do a full range of cooking instruction for the public. So Ellis or Brad, if anyone has anything to add, just about what our plans is, just walk us through the design just briefly.
I guess I could do that and Brad can jump in. Do you have the floor plan that you can put on the screen?
Yeah.
So what PMC did on behalf of MCPL is we reached out to a national firm that does a great deal of this kind of design work for teaching kitchens at universities, libraries, culinary schools, etc., around the country. And one of the things that he indicated to us, his name is Dan Bendel, he's the head of the company. We brought him out to Kansas City. He looked at the space. We met with Xander and we understood what they were trying to do. In order to cook with induction cooktops, you generate a lot of heat and smoke in the space. And so when you have a wide open space where you can kind of see, and I know you can't see me, I'm moving my mouth like you could see it. The seating area where the class attendees usually sit is in a wide open, high ceiling space, really open to the structure. And so the smoke would develop and it would be very, very hard to create a positive draw for smoke exhaust if you were to cook at those individual tables. So what Dan suggested, and if you look at the top of the page, was to create a hood against the wall that we have existing in the building. In fact, that wall already has, I think some of it has ceramic tile on it. And put in, like Aaron mentioned, 5 stations that can handle 2 people each with a hood collection system over the entire thing. By having it up against the wall, It allows for the air to properly flow up into the hood and properly exhaust out of the building without creating a smoke hazard within the overall space. When you cook over in that area, we had to add a little bit of a cleanable ceiling over the top. That was something that was also missing in the current space that you would need whenever you're doing food prep. And that's an economical solution. Washable tile is actually probably the most economical part of this. The biggest expense is the fact that we have to buy a hood and provide the exhaust mechanical system to exhaust that hood through the roof. But this allows the groups of 10 at a time to go ahead and prep in a variety of different cooking conditions up against the wall in that location. In addition, one of the things that was lacking in the current presentation kitchen there, and I'm going to try to describe this. If you look at the prep space, and maybe somebody could use their mouse or something to move over what I'm talking about, but there are two freestanding, there you go, two freestanding counters. The one to the top is a cooktop with a hood over the top of it. And that's the one that Aaron was describing, could be really only limited to a few people. In addition, there's a little hand washing sink there. That hand washing sink doesn't comply with ADA code. And so for anybody to do food prep in the area, we really needed to create an ADA compliant sink. So what we did was we were flipping sinks from the one on the island to the one on the wall and providing an ADA compliant sink at the one at the wall. Then what we're doing on the southern island is that island basically is devoid. If you can move your mouse to that southern island, there you go. Is devoid of any kind of power. So really it's just like a prep table where you could roll out chopped products, roll out dough if you're making pastries or whatever you might be doing, but you can't really plug in anything for a mixer or for any other appliance to do cooking or chopping or cutting or things like that. So we also are adding some power poles down from the ceiling connected into that island so that we have the ability to have some versatility to that station as well. So that's the general gist of what we're doing and plan. Brad, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would add is there is the potential as well on the back line to have a couple more people cooking if they do have a bigger class and need more than 10. There are two 6-burner cooktops on that back line. If somebody, nope, just to the right of that. Yeah, right there. So that's where originally the thought was that the students would cook, but it's limited to the number of students, which is why Xander's wanting to add the other cooktops.
Another thing that I forgot to mention, we've already purchased the cooktops, so there wouldn't be any additional expense on our end there. So we're in possession of them and they'll be ready to use once we complete this work. So just this is an overview. I just want to be transparent and I do want everyone to know that again, this won't require a draw on any of our accounts on the MCPL side. There's a sufficient amount of resources on the contingency side to use to do this work. And we're very appreciative that Don and SAP have worked with us to figure out the most economical solution challenge that we face. And also big thanks to Ellis. Green Hills is not covered within the scope of work that he's currently signed on with MCPL to do, but he's been a great help he's been a great help in helping us figure this out. So I'll turn it over to you guys. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. And also we have Jacqueline with us who can answer questions about our classes and our curriculum. I will say these classes are unique in that every one that we offer is filled to capacity. So we're not seeing a waning interest in this type of coursework. In fact, there's an increased interest in it. And so doing this work will help us build out a more well-rounded curriculum.
I just have a comment.
Mhm.
I kind of liken this as
part of a needed component to learn. It's like someone can read you a book, or you can actually get a hand on the book and do it yourself. Someone can show you how to cook, or you can actually get the steps in. And I see this as building on culinary literacy piece from a hand, because not everybody's a visual learner.
Right.
Some have to get in and do it, some have to try it, and we can all learn from doing. So I would be in favor.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the overall, the initial and overall goal of the Culinary Center is to have a learning experience. And due to the nature of a food product, one must have a hands-on experience. So I think this is entirely consistent with, why it's there in the first place, and why we supported it in the first place. And picking up Aaron's comment, I did not do this in my head. I referred to my calculator on my phone, but it is roughly, this effort is roughly 0.5% of our $60 million that's coming in. But we're not going to have to utilize any new money coming in because this money has already been reserved and allocated for that purpose. So the money's there. It's not going to be an additional financial position on the taxpayers.
I have a question. This is Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle, hold it. Ron, did you have anything else?
Just a personal comment. A couple of months ago, Marcy and I were at one of the presentations, and it was a great experience from a educational standpoint. The whole sense of coming together and fully utilizing the library. And it happened to be on Mesoamerican and somewhat curly Hispanic food products. And great presentation on the history of the tortillas. And it was visual, but then when we had a chance to participate ourselves, there's a complete breakdown in the presentation because you'd only go 2 at a time out of a couple dozen people there. So I think for the reasons I just rambled through, I think this is not only something that should be done, but as soon as possible.
Michelle?
So will this, if I'm hearing everything correctly, this will max us out, right? The capacity, like there's nothing else this will allow us to do the maximum in that space. We're not going to have to do anything else later.
I don't think so. And if Michelle, if you look at the floor plan, this is the most elegant solution to adding stations in this space. Anything else, I think, would really ruin the flow within the space and lines of sight. So this is really all we need.
Okay, I'm just making sure that we're not not doing something else. We could oh, well, if we decide we need more later, we can do more later. Like if, especially with construction and having to close it down, I just, if there's anything else we can do, my opinion is do it now instead of having to close it down.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I got to say, I was involved in the conversations between Dan from Food Strategy and Xander, and they really went through every scenario that could come up when it comes to the courses that he's designed. So originally we were just talking about cooktops, but then Xander did note that we needed power on that southern island, and we made a few other revisions with the hand washing stations. This is everything we need. And fortunately, the components of food prep don't change all that much. You need something sharp, you need something hot, and something tasty. So I think we got all the bases covered here. So.
Yeah, this is Michael. I have a comment.
Okay, Michael, before do we have what's the total contingency right now of our construction projects? It's like $600,000 or $700,000.
Eric, do you by chance have that number handy? I thought I remember it being in the neighborhood of 600,000, but
Yeah, I don't have the exact number, but it's about 650 right now, and I think we feel pretty confident that we can get through the rest of East Independence and Riverside and still have that number be in that 600 range.
I just want to bring that up because Michelle's comments brought to my attention. I'm trying to remember just where we are in terms of the aggregate right now. So, Michael, your turn.
Thank you. As I look at this, and have been in that culinary center a few times, since it was first put in play, we're pioneering in this space right here, aren't we? And it's there's nothing else like this in any other library. And so I just want to say I really appreciate the design here and what we're doing. And I'm like Michelle, I want to make sure that if we need anything else done, let's get it done. But this looks very thorough. And I'm looking forward to going over there and sitting in on a couple of classes myself, and just to partake of it. And really want to be knowledgeable. And I really appreciate the way Xander engages in his work there. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Anyway, Joycelyn.
I had a quick question. Marcy, you go first.
Well, I wanna spin in a little.
Okay, let me
Type
try
direction, so
to
yeah, put them all in, but
So with after all these changes are made, we're gonna go from a cook station where only the instructor can do to up to 6 stations where you have 12 people that can cook simultaneously if you add the back line.
Yeah, if you use the front, yeah, you could accommodate 12. But Xander's working on the class, so people would rotate in and out of
So you could
those.
still do
Yeah.
12, but have
Yeah.
them rotate. So yeah, so we're using the maximum capacity of the room.
Right.
Okay.
Marcy.
so can we talk a little bit about accessibility of these? So I love that you've gone to induction surfaces. I have a 25-year-old special needs son. One of the things that he wants me to do is teach him to cook. And I had a gas stove in my kitchen. So when I needed a new stove, I didn't replace with another gas because that would not be safe for him. But induction is a great solution because it's only hot when the pot's on the surface for him, so it's safe. But he's also very short stature. And so I'm looking at this and I can't tell from the elevations, are these induction surfaces all at the same height? Have we given any thought to anything that might be shorter?
Yeah.
And if we're looking forward to maybe classes that might teach younger people, with parents present, are these at a surface? Yeah, that's the other thing is I can teach him to cook on my induction stove at home now, but I still have to get a step stool for him to accommodate. So are there any kinds of accommodations that we could be thinking of on the front end of this to maybe take one of those 2 burner stations and make that lower perhaps, or?
I
So-
think I can answer that question. And I'll verify this with Dan Bendel, but we did talk about this. And the stations are all set up for side approach ADA access. But I believe the one station that's on the other side of column line 4 is going to be a ADA accessible, meaning it's lower in height and reach range to the other stations. But I'll confirm that with him.
That's great. Just trying to, think
Yeah.
of all of those.
Good question.
Yeah.
Good point.
And you can't tell from this, but the induction tops sit on tables that can be moved. We probably won't be moving them, so there's a way to reconfigure it if need be.
Are they open under, or are they?
Yeah, they're
closed
open
connectors?
under.
So they're open under, so
Yeah,
you
it's not-
could literally wheel a chair under or some
Yes.
other. Perfect, yeah, great.
Yeah, and to add to that, you could also have a couple of different height tables or an adjustable height table to accommodate different accessibility needs as well.
Perfect.
All right, do we have any other questions or comments about this project? I'm glad we're having this discussion.
Just a comment. I know this is not a voting item, but I think if our minutes could reflect that there is a consensus, if not unanimity, in the committee to have it memorialized in the minutes, because I think this is just something worthy of putting down on paper.
I would agree with that, especially since we have a full quorum.
Yes, I think there's a consensus from this committee to go forward with obviously these needed recommendations.
All right, that's good to hear. So we'll give you periodic updates as things progress. But again, we're looking 5 months out just to get prepared. But when the work starts and the adjustments we make to our programming calendar will inform the board so everybody's on the same page.
Just give me a chance to actually sign up for.
It's gotta be fast.
I know.
All right, well, Eric, Brad, and Ellis, again,
Does this, from a builder standpoint, does this require a new permit from, it's Kansas City, right? Does it require a new permit from Kansas City? It does. Great, okay.
but
We figured that into the timeline.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
It's just 24, didn't he?
Okay.
He said 2020.
all right, well, again, Ellis, Brad, and Eric, thank you for all the work that you've done, and I'll call out with you after this meeting.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Do we have any other business? I know, just one. I haven't been over there yet, but the Harvey Jones building is level.
And the side is.
And I have had two neighbors from the area stop me as I saw them in nearby restaurant and business, say, hey, did you see that's down? Said, pass on the thanks because it's an improvement to the neighborhood.
Yeah, it would be.
And so there's still a little work to do, in removing that chain link fence, and we'll do a few other things. And Susan, do you have any details to share? I mean, I know that Aaron mentioned that.
Yeah, the chain link fence is gonna come down. We're gonna do some decorative rock or something instead of the old fence. We are watering it to make sure the sod takes root and doesn't die, especially since it's 70 in February. And we're just moving, we're gonna add some more lighting. And so there's some better lighting in that field or additional lighting. So,
And we think it'll keep us within our $55,000 not to exceed amount. And then as the year progresses, we'll think about what additional improvements can be made to that green space.
Probably a pickleball court.
Space, Bob, green.
Green. Oh, okay.
Maybe you could fit a different.
The court could be green.
Pickleball fence.
Right. Okay. Any other business?
I've just been really excited to see the progress made both on Riverside and on East Independence. There's a lot of excitement in the communities for that opening up. And just really excited for that progress.
What is the new target for East Independence, by the way? I meant to ask Tuesday and I forgot.
Open date for the public, you mean?
Yeah, just
a soft opening.
yes,
It's the end of May.
end of May-ish. What ish? No promise, just targets, okay.
Mr. Wildling said when we built MGC, he said, let's just advertise seasons now instead of months.
Oh, good. That's good. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the meeting be adjourned. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.